Nippon Hoso Podcast Station.
The phrase I chose is 力は実際に使わなくても持っているという事実が大事なんだ。それが心の強さになる。When I first came to Japan and I got a heat stroke and I fell to the floor, my manager was like, let's call the ambulance. And because I'm so used to the American medical bills, which is like $1,000 just to ride the ambulance, I'm like, no, do not call the ambulance. Like, idols do not get paid enough to afford that. Anime English Club with Sally Amaki. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 11 of the Anime English Club. I'm your host, Sally Amaki. よろしくお願いします。It is so freaking hot in Japan right now. I am well known in Japan for having a heat stroke every single year. Heat stroke is 熱中症なんですけど、every year for the past 8 years I've been here, I have gone on the ambulance in Japan. Yeah, it's that bad. Apparently heat strokes, once you get it, like it becomes a habit. So I'm excited for this year. Apparently it's going to be hotter than last year. But the good thing is it's free to ride an ambulance in Japan. Yeah, if you're really sick, like you can't use it as a taxi, okay? Like if you pass out in the streets, then it's free of charge. I didn't know that. So when I first came to Japan and I got a heat stroke and I fell to the floor, my manager was like, let's call the ambulance. And because I'm so used to the American medical bills, which is like $1,000 just to ride the ambulance, I'm like, no, do not call the ambulance. Like, idols do not get paid enough to afford that. But no, it was free. And I was like, oh, okay, well then, yeah, please do call the ambulance because I'm about to die.
How many times have you ever rode the ambulance?
More than 5. I've lost count now.
In Japan?
In Japan, yes. No, because, okay, the heat in Japan is so bad. It's like, it's really hot in America as well, but it's like a dry hotness. Like the humidity in Japan is crazy. Like I'm pretty sure sooner or later people are gonna form gills because like the humidity. Like there's so much water in the air. Like we're just gonna have to like breathe from our gills or something. We're gonna adapt and overcome. You know, so much water in the air. But yeah. Also, one more thing. Thank you for laughing. It makes me so happy. One more thing. There's a joke, or I don't know, a trap in Japan where heat stroke, you say 熱中症, but if you say 熱中症 really slowly, it sounds like someone's asking you to like kiss them, like 熱中症. 聞いたことないですか? Somebody's like, hey, can you say 熱中症 slowly? And you're like, 熱中症? Like it sounds like 熱中症. It's a trap. Yeah, it's a trap. Do not fall for it, guys. It is a trap. So if you ever come to Japan and a random ass person goes like, hey, can you say heat stroke really slowly? Don't fall for it. You're going to be like, no, bye. And they'll just leave. All right. I just saved you from a really creepy man. All right, let's go. So without further ado, let's talk about today's episode. Today, we are exploring Witch Watch, a delightful new series that's currently captivating audiences. Hi. So if you don't know what Witch Watch is, Witch Watch was created by Kenta Shinohara and has been serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump since 2021. The anime adaptation premiered in April 2025 and is airing as a continuous 2-core series on MBS and TBS networks, and a lot of streaming platforms as well. The story follows Morihito, a boy with ogre powers, or Oni no Chikara, who becomes the familiar, or tsukaima, of his childhood friend Nico, a witch in training. When Nico returns after 6 years to continue her magical studies, Morihito agrees to live with her as her familiar. What ensues is a series of unpredictable magical mishaps and the charming complications of 2 teenagers living together. It's a heartwarming blend of supernatural comedy and slice-of-life moments. Hi! So that's where the title comes from. Nico is a witch, and Morihito is, the watcher of Nico, so it's like Witch Watch. Hi. So I think that's where the title comes from. This might be bullshit, but alright. Hi. It's really funny. I love it. I love the opening as well. The opening is by Yoasobi-san. It's a really good song, so I recommend it, you guys. Hi, so without further ado, let's go to today's phrase. The phrase I chose is 力は実際に使わなくても持っているという事実が大事なんだ。それが心の強さになる。So if you say that in English, it's even if you don't use it, merely having strength is important. It will make your heart strong. This comes from episode 1 of season 1, and this profound wisdom comes from Morihito's father during a crucial moment. ちなみに wisdom っていうのは知恵 so like knowledge. So it usually comes from somebody like, you know, who's lived longer than you, who knows a lot. Yeah, like a little grandpa or grandma figure, you know, pretty old with a cane. That's what I imagine in animes, you know, words of wisdom. It usually comes from people who has more experience than you. はい、wisdom はなので知恵、ありがたいお言葉ですね。いろいろ知識ある方から。ということで、so Morihito had been traumatized after once losing control of his ogre powers and injuring someone. When bullies attacked him, he chose to take the beating rather than fight back, believing his power was something that creates unnecessary conflict and hurts people. And seeing Morihito get hurt without defending himself made Nico cry, and his father praised his restraint but warned that simply fearing his abilities wasn't enough. When Morihito heard these words about strength giving the heart courage, he decided to begin ogre training, so not to use his power, but to ensure he'd never make Nico cry again. Hi. So he basically decided to train so that he can like control his powers, you know, so that he doesn't go all crazy again and fight his friends. But, you know, I really like this phrase because I feel like the strongest people never really fight back, you know? It's because they know they have strength. So it feels like, you know, when a preschooler comes up to you and they're like, hey, you're so dumb. Like, you never really take it to heart because you know you're smarter than that preschooler, so, you know? So it's like, it's kind of the same thing. When you look at somebody who's weaker than you, who's like trying to fight you, but you know you can literally beat them with your pinky, you're like, oh, you know, I'm not fazed. Like, just let them say what you want. Also, there's a phrase from, it's a different anime, but a really popular phrase from Bleach, where it's like, あまり強い言葉を使うなよ、弱く見える. Do you know? Do you know that phrase? It's from Bleach. It's translated as, don't use such strong words. They make your weakness that much more apparent. So it kind of like connects to this, where, you know, people who have power don't really have to show it, you know? And it's like the weak dogs are the ones that bark the loudest. 弱い犬ほどよく吠える. There's so many Japanese phrases that connect to this, but yeah, that's basically what Morihito's dad wanted to tell him. Yeah. All right, so let's look at the vocabulary. The vocab used in this week's phrase isn't that hard. I just think one vocab, merely. So even if you don't use it, merely having strength is important. It will make your heart strong. I think merely is something that people who are learning English right now haven't really heard. Merely, it could be switched with simply. It simply means, or it merely means, 単に。だから、単に力を持っているという事実が大切なんだみたいな、簡単に言うとみたいな感じですね。I don't know why they used merely here. It literally could have been simply. I'm guessing they used merely to make it sound more like a word of wisdom, you know? Like, to me, it sounds smarter. You know, you sound smarter when you use merely. I'm like, you know, to me, maybe because I'm dumb, but, you know, his dad is like, just merely having it is, you know, important. So, yeah, you can use simply, merely. I mean, in this case, you can also say, even if you don't use it, it's the fact that you have the strength is what's important, is also a literal translation of the Japanese version. ですね.
But why they don't use the word fact? Because, you know, in Japanese it said という事実が, but it doesn't have to have that word.
Yeah, in the Japanese version, like it's literally saying, you know, 事実 fact. It's the fact that you have the strength is what's important, but they didn't use it in the English translation. I think it's because it makes it longer. So in Japanese dubs or subs, the syllables you use like is so different. Like I feel like Japanese, you can say things a lot more simple, like more ギュッってなんて言うんだろう like tightly, yeah, tightly works, yeah. It's tight, like you don't have to use long words to explain things, but if you try to translate it in English, there are so many, I wouldn't say unnecessary, but like it sounds unnecessary from somebody who can speak Japanese because there's so many filler words. But yeah, it just becomes really long. So I feel like when the voice actors are trying to dub it in over the Japanese version, they just don't have enough mouth space to say the literal translation. And also, if the literal translation is used in the subtitles, they're not going to have, the viewers aren't going to have enough time to read it because, like Japanese goes really fast. So I feel like that's the reason why they cut it in this case, to make it a lot shorter is what I think. Yeah. Oh, the dub version. So the dub version is even if you decide to never use ogre power again, just having gone through the training will help you. Whereas the sub version was even if you don't use it, merely having strength is important. And as you can see, it's like a lot shorter because they need to make it shorter for you guys to read it. But also, the dub version, they made it a lot more complex than they need to, I think. Because in the Japanese version, they're saying 力は実際に使わなくても持っているという事実が大事なんだ. They just say 力, which means power. But in the dub version, they emphasized ogre power, whereas they could have just said, even if you never decide to use your power again, they could have just said power. But I think they said ogre power, again, to fit the mouth. When I dubbed, I was in an anime called Tomo-chan is a Girl, and I voiced Kara Olston, and I did her Japanese voice and her English voice as well. But when I did the English dub, we had to cut out a lot of words, or we had to add a lot of words just so that it would fit the Japanese characters' mouth more. Even if it sometimes sounded a bit off, the grammar would sound a bit off, we had to add some words just so that it would fit the characters moving their mouth, because the Japanese animation is what comes first. So yeah, I feel like that's why the translations in a lot of these animes, subs, and dubs it might feel a bit weird to somebody who's native and fluent, some words might feel a bit redundant, but it's necessary for these animations. はい、です. Alright. Moving on to the pronunciation. Let's try it out. 日本語では、力は実際に使わなくても持っているという事実が大事なんだ。それが心の強さになる. Alright, so in English, even if you don't use it, merely having strength is important. It will make your heart strong. もう一回いきますね. Even if you don't use it, merely having strength is important. It will make your heart strong. はい. What's hard here? Merely? Mere. Any word with R is pretty hard to pronounce, even if you don't use it. Yeah, everything else is pretty but merely. Mere. Pretend you are a cat. If you're a cat. それで言うと、I feel like the sounds that cats make in Japanese and in English is different as well. In Japan, you say meow, but in English it's meow. So pretend you are a English cat and pretend you are crying in English. Meow. Meowly. There you go. Yeah. So when you want to use this phrase, transform into a cat. Yes. There's a character in Witch Watch, actually, who transforms into a cat as well. So there we go. I made a connection. You're welcome. Hi. Mirror. Also, E. Try smiling. I know it's very hard to smile in this economy nowadays. Yeah, it's like nobody really smiles now. But try to put on a smile. And try to put on a fake smile, actually. Like, not like a E smile, but a smile that you make when your parents tell you to smile in pictures when you were little. Be like, come on, smile for the camera. And you're like, like this fake smile. This is the mouth you want to use when you say merely, like, I'm smiling, Mom. Can you take a picture? Merely. Yeah. And now you can pronounce it. Hi. And now strength. Oh, this is hard for me too. Strength. Like, the TH is so unnecessary. Like, it feels too much. Strength. Whenever people say this word, like, so much spit comes out of their mouth. It does. Like, I almost spit on camera right now too. So it's so hard. When you want to say this word in front of somebody you like, or if you're trying to, like, flirt with somebody, I don't know, I advise you to not use it because you're probably going to spit. But yeah. Or just hope for the best when you say this. Strength. How do I say it? Strength. You could pronounce the G, but you could kind of make it silent. Strength. 最後の I feel like you should focus on the last TH more than the start of the sentence. Like, strength. If you can get the TH out, then we'll hear you. So just say strength. But try not spitting. Hi. I'm not worried about the pronunciation. I'm more worried about you guys spitting on somebody. So, yeah. So merely, fake smile, and strength, try not spitting on people. Hi.
アニメイングリッシュクラブ with サリー・アマキ。
Now on to the next. Culture context. Hi. So many culture contexts. So, Morihito is Oni. So Oni only comes out in Japanese folktales. So it's not something that could be translated into anything else, like quite literally, just because like Oni just exists in Japan, But there's a lot of different ways that Oni is being translated. For instance, for Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Oni is translated as demon, but for instance, in Witch Watch, Morihito's Oni is translated as ogre. But, if you speak English, demon and ogre are two very different things, For me, I feel like demon has a bit more of a negative context. Like, it seems scarier, It seems scarier. But ogre, maybe it's because I've watched Shrek. But ogre doesn't seem that scary. Ogre seems a bit ugly, Like, big, bulky, ugly creature. Maybe this comes from Shrek. Like, they live in a swamp. And they're like, wah wah. But, like, demon, I feel like, I don't know, demon seems kind of hot to me. But, yeah, when you translate it, but they're both translated as Oni, So, it really depends on what show or what context you want to use Oni. And, also, apparently, Oni isn't always bad. Like, it's not always a bad guy. There are good Onis in Japan as well. You're just gonna have to look for that, though. But yeah, so you can translate Oni as demon, ogre, devil. Devil はでも悪魔なので、はい、it's a bit different. But, there are shows where they translate Oni as devil as well, but also goblin. Goblin kind of has a similar context to ogre. Ogre and goblin kind of feels the same to me. They're both very ugly. That's what I think. Goblins and ogres, I feel like they're a bit more on like the bulky, bigger side. Whereas devils and demons, I feel like I see fire behind them, you know? Like fire and like red, like they come from hell or something. That's what I imagine. I wish they would just like say oni. I wish that it would just become popular worldwide so that we don't have to translate it in like 4 different ways. But yeah, it could be translated as demon, ogre, devil, goblin. Yeah, it just really depends on what series or like what context that character is, you know, how that character is living. はい。です。
Question.
Yes.
So, do you know Momotaro?
Momotaro, yes, Japanese folktale.
Yeah, so what do you think? So the onis in Momotaro could be ogre or demon or whatsoever.
Oh my gosh, the onis in Momotaro-san. So in Japan, there's a folktale called Momotaro where when a grandma's like washing her laundry, doing her laundry by the river, a humongous peach comes tumbling down and she's like, oh my god, a peach. And then a little boy comes out and she names it Momotaro, like Peach Boy. But yeah, and he goes to the mountains to fight demons or ogres. In that case, I think I would say they're demons just because in the books that I read, those onis are red. And I think demons are red. Like the color. When I imagine demons, I feel like the color red comes out, you know. But they do look like ogres too. Like they're a bit bulky as well. I mean, Onitaiji. Ogre, demon. Oh, I would say demon because demon slaying, demon slayer. You know, Momotaro. So I guess Tanjiro is basically Momotaro because he's slaying demons, and Momotaro is also slaying demons. Am I gonna get in trouble if I say Tanjiro is basically Momotaro? I feel like that, you know. Tanjiro is not Momotaro, but in this context, what he is doing is basically what Momotaro also did. I'm just saying, but please don't come at me. They're just okay. Let's go. And that does it for this episode of the Anime English Club. Next episode, we'll continue with Witch Watch and explore one of my favorite phrases from Morihito or Mai-chan. Hi. The Anime English Club wants to hear from you. Whether it's a scene or anime you want me to talk about, general English questions, or you just want to say hi, we want to hear from you. So email us at aec@1242.com. That's aec@1242.com. You can email me in either Japanese or English. Hi. Also, we also have a YouTube channel. You can check the subtitles both in English and Japanese. Go to youtube.com/anime-english-club, or you can just search it up by the title. Hi, so that does it for this week's episode. I hope you guys understood the concept of demons or onis, you know, or just what I want you guys to take out of this episode is heat stroke means 熱中症. Merely is, you can say simply, and there's many different ways to translate oni. So if you got that, then you're good to go. If you didn't get that, watch it from the start again. Hi. So thank you for watching. See you next week. From the Nippon Hoso podcast station, this is the Anime English Club hosted by me, Salia Maki. This episode was directed by Kensuke Yoshida and was produced by Shiori Tanaka of Nippon Broadcasting System, Japan.